What's going on? Always good to start with a coffee. And it's been a while. I really do want to come in here and just really capture the essence of gratitude that you guys are here. I really appreciate it. You know, in life, we often find the alignment with people fluctuates over time and changes, and we find that whether it's relationships, family, friends, audiences, content creators, whatever relationships we're in life, in person, virtual, whatever that is, sometimes we sort of flow away from each other and mismatch and realize that going in different directions is actually the thing to do. But I appreciate that you guys still find alignment with me here. And I appreciate those of you who are going in different directions. And I appreciate myself for choosing to go in different directions. So just kind of wanted to make a big thank you in this video. Just kind of catching up a little bit. And really getting into a lot of different aspects of life. I've been doing a lot of tech and like some big tech stuff here on this channel, off and on. I've been showing a lot of different, like just really cool, check this out kind of videos as it pertains to software on my computer, for Chromebook, for those of us who are in the market for a computer that is very much budget friendly. I love Chromebook. I couldn't recommend it enough. And if you're interested, let me know and I can definitely give you the exact model of Chromebook that I got. That is pretty budget friendly. You save maybe a couple months at the most and you can get a Chromebook for under $200. Like, it's just really worth it. If you would like a computer and you're more of a computer user who really would just like the keyboard and the full functionality of the web when you need it, when you find that either software might work better itself or platforms can take advantage of the full web, the full keyboard, the full screen. And that's kind of what it's for me. It's not something I have to have every day. It's not something I always take on the go. But it is sure nice to have for the family. It is sure nice to have for that full web experience to take advantage of platforms and software. So, and typing for sure. Like, there's nothing that beats sitting in front of a big QWERTY keyboard and just typing. When you're kind of in that mood. I do type pretty fast on my phone, on my iPhone, but yeah, it's interesting. Just kind of catching you up on what's going on. I still try to this day to get Spotify for Podcasters with Riverside. It's very interesting how these things really will make you think about yourself, and I'll get to that. Doing a raw, unedited. But it really is interesting how we can often really get attached to these platforms and really take it personally when things don't go our way. I've been doing the podcast for over 4 years. So if anybody was going to get upset, taking my show with me through my very personal life journey, making kind of the show being the main sort of premise of the show, the main point was to be this insightful journal through life, narrating life to you in this very personalized journal podcast. That's pretty personal. It feels like a rip to the chest a little bit that the ease of recording is being taken away. But I will say that I was thinking about this as I was getting my coffee ready and getting ready to come sit down with you here. The one thing I will say is that it teaches you about yourself. And what I mean is, what I'm learning is that it's teaching me my own loyalty to myself. So if I am able to keep the podcast going, it will be on a different platform, obviously, that is easier to take on the go and do the podcast in the format that is working for everybody, but that I could also take and kind of see what the audience wants at the same time and gain community by creating in the format that really helps all of us to grow in insight and in life experience, not so much just in like listenership or the sort of big numbers that these companies are really, which I don't blame them. They want to help people make a career out of this. And in a sense, that's kind of what I want, but I'm doing it on a much slower, deeper format. I'm taking a lot more time than people would probably want in a company. Like, a company's not going to look at a podcaster who's taking their time and tell them to keep going slow or have patience. They're going to look at them and say, you need to accelerate, right? And that's, everybody needs a push. So I'm not like sitting here downing that, especially, I actually don't think that money is the root of all evil, contrary to popular belief. But on that same point, it's interesting because it gets you thinking, if I kept this podcast going and kept this journal going, it would be, I would really just, yes, raw video. I would really just kind of keep the same comfortable format in a sense. Would I leave my comfort zone? I don't know. It depends on if I chose the right platform that would allow me to, if the audience needed me to. But then on the other hand, I thought about it and I thought, even just coming up here and really getting into a very personal journal here on YouTube, getting into the personal vlog aspect of it, which is what YouTube is like. YouTube really is designed for vlogging and insight, and people do consider this a personal journal, and it's on a different scale. And even doing this is not disloyal to myself. But what it does allow you to think about when you think about platforms is, do I really need to be more loyal to the platform and keep trying this headache that is not working? Or do I just keep going with what I'm doing, but just reintroduce myself to more platforms and continue the platforms that I've already started? And in a sense, it's almost like you're still loyal to yourself. If you're going through the same kind of thing, if you relate a little bit and you kept your podcast going. And you found a platform that works. You're loyal to yourself and to your podcast, right? But then if you keep your platform going on other platforms and you decide to let your podcast go, I guess the question is, are you still loyal? And I think the answer is yes, but in a different way. You're loyal to what you're doing and yourself, but you might find that, like in my case, there is a lot of misalignment that I have found I probably didn't, in my podcast, as much as I love it, I probably did not. And I'm getting kind of a little more personal on this than I would on the podcast normally, because you guys did stick around. And aside from sticking around, it's I feel like I can kind of like more appropriately place my opinions here in a more respectful manner than I could on the podcast, just because it's a different platform. And that's kind of an advantage. And so, but that's the thing with something like the podcast, I didn't really a lot of it was based on like, you're my friend, so you're going to listen to my podcast. You're my friend. So, and there were quite a few like buddies I had, like group wise and stuff. And there were some people that were interested. But I do feel like here on YouTube, I feel like there has been a little bit of that. I've been fortunate to have some friends. But it's mostly been about you're here for more specific reasons that you're getting from me. It's a relationship based on friendship of interest that we have an alignment on this channel, which is what I was sort of wanting for the podcast. But then because of the platform and the nature of what Anchor was and the social radio, it was more about we're friends, so we can expect that we're going to agree with what each other says. We can expect that we're going to listen to each and every episode of each other. I didn't fully expect all of that. I don't base my friendships off of, do you listen to my podcast? But some of the friendships that I've had were exclusively because of the podcast. So for me, there wasn't that expectation. For other people, there was, and I didn't always meet that expectation, because part of my deal is if we can take the alignment off of the platform and off air and go to a more personal format, and then if we create something organic from that and it turns into a podcast, that's great, because we do get busy in our lives and things like that. If we get inspired by each other's conversations that we have and go and create our own episodes individually on our own, that's great. But for me, it was never, I think that's kind of the thing I didn't meet. In what I would consider to be a very valuable at the time, but very small, close circle, a very valuable circle I had of like a podcast group. But the thing I guess I did sort of expect, kind of a false expectation, if you will, is that a lot of us were going to always align. And that we may not have time completely to consume because we wanted to be too busy to create. At least in my mind, I wanted all of us to be too busy actually taking action on creating than consuming each other all the time. But I just assumed that we were creating the same message. I just assumed that we had the same intentions, that we were the same kind of people, that we spread the same word, that kind of thing. Our light was the same, etc., right? That was not necessarily true. So in this case, it's given me a lot of speaking skills, a lot of practice. And if it is dead air, and if it is kind of, I'll take a loss at this point. Like, yes, I'll miss it. Yes, it kind of feels a little more like it's been a personal journal, but so can YouTube. I've had a lot of times where this has been very personal. This has been a vlogging platform. YouTube is designed for this in a different way that I really haven't allowed myself to enjoy, in a sense. And so I think here it's going to be a little more fitting for me to find who aligns with me rather than me trying to force alignment where it doesn't fit, trying to chase intention where intention is not actionable with everybody, like in the same way. It doesn't make everybody bad, but it just means that everybody can be a mismatch at times in groups. And the podcast was simply like a group of friends. They didn't always all know each other. They didn't always talk to each other. That's the other thing. I kind of expected that everybody would team up and just love each other as much as I loved everybody. But everybody was extremely different in their agreements and their beliefs, and that certainly didn't happen. So on my count, it says a lot about me as a person, where my skills in leadership are probably good one-on-one, but when it comes to team building, I'm probably not the greatest, and that's okay. It is what it is. And I'm okay with that. Like, that's a loss. So I think the podcast taught me more about myself than brought value to everybody. But I hope that this channel can do the same thing that the podcast did as a personal vlog, for growing and for sharing insight and for connecting, but instead for aligning, teaching us all about ourselves in alignment this time. Like, I can learn about myself in alignment with you. So, just thought I'd kind of shoot this and see where it went. I really hope that I think this is one of the better videos I enjoyed making, honestly. The last one was kind of coming in to say hi and kind of making it known that I'm glad to be out here, glad for the connection of this platform here. Life is our reality. And it's everywhere. And we could be on here, we can be on X, on Facebook, on Threads, everywhere. It doesn't matter. But on TikTok, like, I'm definitely over there. I gotta catch up over there as well and catch up with some people that I need to respond to over the next few days, over this weekend. Been a little bit virused over here. We've had some viruses going on. So, and I need to get some editing skills up a little bit so that I can pause a little bit while I'm getting my thoughts together. I think this is okay for videos like this, but if I want to really get my thoughts together in a concise manner, a lot of the audience in that podcast, one of their favorite things about the way my style was the sort of the pause and giving you time to digest what I'm saying, and the sort of thinking process that I would go into that would make it very easy to break down complex insights. And so that was really cool. So I want to be able to do that, bring that to you here in a way. If you have any feedback about it or suggestions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I really appreciate you being here. Take care of yourself, take care of your life, take care of each other. Stay healthy, and let's tune into each other. Let's stay connected. Stay tuned. Thanks for being here. Looking forward to integrating more everywhere. Take care.